Welcome everyone to this very slimmed down version of Beyond Wealth. And the reason why I've done this like this year is I really just want to focus on you guys. And as we get bigger, the focus really should be on you, and then we can invite people that we choose very carefully in to speak, and it will be maybe one person. So like this year, one of the people I was toying with, which I didn't confirm, was the owner of Landmark, that Polo Wanibe in Nigeria. I don't know if I thought he was very inspirational and someone that would inspire you guys. So hopefully we can get him for next time, so that he can come and speak, and we'll choose those kind of people. It's really going to be more about developing you as you get older, developing. I don't ever want to lose you guys, no matter, even if you come married, whatever you're doing, is to continue to develop that leadership essence and that networking and knowing people. So today we're going to spend about probably 2 hours, even though it has 3 hours on the schedule. We'll try and move it along quickly because of transport as well. So says icebreaker active. I don't know if you have anything to say. Gospels are first, so you probably say something after I've spoken. But I wrote something. I was thinking about you guys. I wrote something down a few days ago. I was sleeping actually, but I was like, oh my god, this is really, it's been a learning journey for me as well as you guys. So I'm really humbled that we are where we are now. Is for me, looking at you reminds me of me, because as most of you know, the reason why I do this, I don't know if Wimi knows, but I have shared it with everybody before about my history and what I went through around your age, and the person that showed up for me, which was Dr. George, right? And there's nothing that is more impressive than being able to pay it forward and see people. I never know, I might be 70 tomorrow and need you guys to do something for me, right? And that day will come, and that's just what life is. Everything goes round. Life is just like a cycle. But hopefully when I'm 70, I'll still be giving you guys stuff and I won't be taking anything. Okay, so when I thought to start this, I just turned a significant age. And I remember sitting in the car with my husband. I don't know if he remembers, and I think I was 42. I'm 46 now, just in case you want to know my age. Yeah, does that sound very ancient, right? 46, wow. It feels like I'm 18. But anyway, I was sitting with him, and 42 was the age that Dr. George died. So that year I was thinking to myself, oh my God, like I'm going to turn 42, and what do I want to do? And I said to him that I'll be very happy for the rest of my life to work on just two things, which is Beyond Wealth and my business, which is Dr. Simi Health Policy and all the things I do. And I have nothing else I'm running after. And that was, for me, was almost like an epiphany that, oh my God, this is what I want to do forever. I have nothing else that interests me. And on the back of that, I made a lot of life changes, which you guys are going to come to, in time. And it's not been easy all that time, trying to find people to mentor you and people to speak to and how to organize it. And we've been iterating and shaping as we go along, and you've been helping me do that. But seeing the difference it makes and the evolution, the crazy evolution in some of you guys don't know, because I'm the one that sits on this side. But when I see Tapiwa, and I'm looking at her and thinking, my God, and Wendy's telling me all sorts of things about you, from Warwick, and Caroline is telling me about you, and I look at Deborah, and I look at how she just spoke just now. For me, that's, and you're amazing. When you talk about people that know how to network, this guy, it doesn't let me ever get away for more than a couple of months. I'm just checking on you. Where are you? I'm in Nigeria. He's very good. And Layo as well, and how she's evolved and navigated the challenges of the whole admissions process. For me, it's just been amazing. And look at Mimi. She's smart, clever, sharp, and just starting her journey and evolving and coming out of her shell. Let me tell you, you're not an introvert. Deborah, look at Deborah, how she's talking now and how she's so animated. It's crazy. Look at your eye contact. I'm sorry. I used to bang on her, like, look at me. And it's phenomenal. This is what keeps it going. This is the why. Anyway, I won't go on too long about that. And you're not even at your full bloom yet. You're not even anywhere near your full bloom. You're really just at the beginning. You're budding like little seeds. 10 years time, that one might be an MP already. you'll be doing phenomenal things. And medicine, we're going to do it. There's so much is going to happen. Pharmacy and and economics. So much is going to happen. So today we're just going to get going, follow the agenda. I'm going to let you say something. I want you to just talk and just say something for us, and then we'll just go on with the agenda. All right? Okay.
My name is Gotulo Kandai, and I'm a final year biomedical sciences student. And as Dr. Albi rightly said, it's been amazing seeing the progression of the build up from the beginning all the way to now. It's started off with me first, now look at everybody. So we progressed pretty well. One thing I want to talk about is working with Dr. Alabi has taught me the essence of working to an exceptional standard, and teaching me the significance of being able to stand out, the ability to show to people, to say, wow, this creates room for me to work in front of people that actually matter. So for example, I remember when I first started working with Dr. Alabi, with the whole mentorship, and there were so many things that I had to improve on, such as learning how to actually answer the questions as it should be answered. Because I had so much things that I'm talking about, thinking about, and I just say everything, but it should be more directed, and should be more. Actually, answer the question.
Yes, answer the question.
Actually, answer the question. So, but I've been able to develop, and I've also been able to apply that skills to other things. Where even in school, for example, when I did my interview to be a student ambassador, which is like a representative of the university, and I support on open days, giving speeches to incoming students, their parents, and whatnot. Because of the skills that I had learnt with Dr. Alabi, I was able to smash the interview.
Amazing.
So, and obviously this was in first year, so I've been able to be. I was retained as a student ambassador all the way to now.
Wow.
So, which is really good. And on top of that, also academia. So Dr. Ali always spoke about the significance of ensuring that you're working to the best of your abilities, and always trying to go out there to find the necessary skill sets and learning how to be the best version of yourself academically. So because of that, I was able to also secure first class in first year and second year. So with all of that being said, I can't wait to see what the future holds for myself and everybody.
Great, so welcome to everyone. So obviously Tejumade is not here, he's not feeling very well. So we have one more scholar who's not here, but he's not well, so we'll send him our best wishes. So we're going to move on now to about your personal journeys each. So we're going to, I don't know whether to start from the youngest or progress, but I think I would leave you to the end. I think let you watch everybody else speak, and then you can speak. So what I really want to do is more like hear your journey and your experiences now that you've moved on to uni, before you do your little speeches, which is going to be slightly later. So you're going to talk about your sort of what I told you to prepare, but that'll be later. What I really want to hear is, how has it been for you? Because it's one thing for me to see you once every 2 months or once a month, but every day to day you're living life. You're starting uni September, you just started. How's the journey from Beyond Wealth been, starting uni? What are the challenges been, opportunities, and just, and then we can ask you questions each.
And my journey with Beyond Wealth to now has been quite a formative one, I would say. I started off as I've always been someone that's been very academic and has always loved helping people and being quite social, but naturally I've always been quite introverted. And I think because of that, it caused not an identity crisis, but kind of like I needed a bit of grounding. And I think in the process of being in Beyond Wealth, and I had many conversations with Dr. Alabi, I remember there was one where I was debating between doing politics and psychology. Psychology was more for my parents than me, but being someone that naturally wanted to help people and be in a place where I was actually going to work and do a lot of substantial things, at the end of the day, it was always politics. And I think very much having that ability to know my why has really helped me in the last 2 years being at uni, very much choosing what opportunities are for me, what aren't for me, their long-lasting impacts, and generally making sure that my progress at uni is one of longevity. I think there was a lot of things that I did have to say no to, but they weren't things that were necessarily going to help me in that progression. And they were hard in the beginning, I would say, but being able to navigate them with the longer term knowledge that they weren't going to help my why, my being, my motivations, and they weren't going to do as much as they needed to. On reflection, was probably one of the most important values that I had. And it meant that there's like a lot of opportunities where, although in those places I had to say no, a lot of international opportunities instead came. And I've honestly been so blessed to be in Norway in summer, have internship opportunities, all fully paid for, which is always brilliant. And working with companies that I dreamed about going to work with. So doing social media for companies like Student Beans and being a content creator, being, moved up and down the country from Manchester to London on shoots and, like running my business has definitely been some of the best experiences. And despite, the sort of like the general struggles of uni and the workload sometimes being a bit much and having to take a lot of mental breaks and going home at half term regularly, it very much kept me grounded and knowing that in the moment these times are quite hard, but in the long term I'm doing something that's not just about me, and it's very much a longevity thing, and that for me has definitely been grounding and very helpful in moments where I've been a bit shaky.
That's just wonderful. You said some things. I have questions. So I don't know if any of you have questions, but I think these are the kind of places where you learn, and there's no end to learning. I'm still learning. But the first thing you said was that you had a debate between psychology and politics, and you were like, one of it was for your parents.
Yeah.
So, and we had a conversation. I was like, it's a no-brainer. You're a politician. So how did you? And I think it flows into my second question as well, which is about saying no to apparent opportunities and waiting for the right one. So how were you able to sort of balance that with your parents and say, actually, I'm not doing psychology, I'm going to do politics, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And having that sort of mind. And then secondly, how are you able to know what fits with your why? So when an opportunity comes that looks great, how do you then say, no, actually I'm not taking that, it doesn't align with my why?
I think a big thing for me in the process of kind of restructuring the way my parents thought was very much a thing of at the end of the day, it's me that has the debt. And also just the fact that it's also me that has to bring myself to 9 a.m. lectures. And if there's no motivation there, I'm not going to go. And it's a waste of money, and it's also a waste of my time and my potential. Because if I'm going to sit for hours, if I'm going to sit up until 3, 4 a.m. doing coursework, it's because it's something that I love. And when there's moments where the coursework is hard, the questions are hard, you don't understand it, that motivation is the one thing that keeps you going. And I think when I kind of remodeled that to my parents and I was saying, as much as psychology is great, I would rather add it onto my degree than it be the main basis, because what am I actually going to do with it? What is the concrete basis of the psychology? Is it something that I think, okay, I can immediately channel this into a career, or is it something that I can immediately channel into a personal statement for a spring week or something like that? And when I sat and I was looking at spring week applications and videos on YouTube of other people that have gone through uni, and there were places that I also wanted to be at, they marketed skills that they actually believed in, and they marketed skills that they knew they had in those subjects that they were doing. And I was like, I can't do that with psychology, but I can do that with politics.
100%, that's wonderful. Anybody have any questions, or shall we move along? Yes, please.
How did you position yourself to receive all of those opportunities?
I would say for the first term of uni, I actually didn't talk to anybody. The first time of uni, I spent alone with myself, which probably wasn't the best thing. But in me being alone, I actually was one day I woke up and I was like, no, I can't be alone. So I just kind of went around my accommodation, just talking to people randomly. And I think the biggest part of me reaching those opportunities was the people that I had around me. People with the same mindset, not necessarily the same career, but just the same mindset of I want this, I'm getting this. And having those people around in moments where you're like, I don't think I can do this, or I'm not sure if this is for me or not for me. When those people get to know you so deeply, they're the type of people that can be like, no, still do it. Even if you yourself don't think you can. And I think because of that, and then being like, oh, you know what, Tipio, this looks good for you. My close friendship group that I live with are people that are very big on bringing other people into things. So for example, my friends brought me into a lot of media things. And as much as I've always been quite good at that, it was not necessarily something that immediately jumped into my mind. But when I was brought into it at uni, because a lot of my friends do like media and things like that, and they work in like the same building as me, I was like, you know what, I'm actually not too bad at this Photoshop thing. And I started progressing to a point where like I got an opportunity to work with Student Beans as an ambassador, creating content, like stuff on TikTok, Instagram, multimedia, and like running the pages and things. I then also brought them in. So it's very much a thing of like having people that want to bring you into things and being able to bring them into things, and that environment is what fosters all the opportunities.
100%. Just that reciprocity.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions for Tapiwa? Should we move along to Layo next? That was fantastic. Thank you to Tapiwa.
My name is Tualaya Adegbeson, and I'm a first-year pharmacy student at University of Birmingham. So originally, going into it, I didn't necessarily want to do pharmacy at first. The admissions process was a bit rocky for me, and it took a lot of, like, I spoke with Dr. Simi a lot about it, and it was a bit of like a confidence shaker, but I feel like now I'm at a point where I look at myself and I feel like I'm exactly where I'm meant to be, doing the right course for me. Initially, I wanted to study medicine, and I only got one medicine interview, and I did a lot of interview preparation with Dr. Simi, like weekly. So then when I didn't get any offers, I just felt like I'd wasted time. I felt like I'd disappointed you, and I remember I was crying in that one meeting telling you all of this, and you just reassured me that I'm not a failure. I still have good options because I applied like strategically, and that it doesn't necessarily define me. So even though, and then I sat my A-levels, and my my A-level grades, they were not what I expected at all, so that was quite a shock as well. But I still got accepted into my first choice uni, even though I didn't get the grades for it, and I didn't have to go through clearing or anything. So I just thank God for that, really. Yeah, and then as far as my first semester of uni, it's been going really well. I'm enjoying the course. I've met great people on the course, and even hearing how some of my friends on my course ended up there as well. Their journey wasn't as smooth sailing as I would expect everyone else's to be either. So that was like nice to hear and like reassuring to realize that I shouldn't be comparing myself with others, because everyone's on their own journey at the end of the day, and everyone takes different paths to get to places. But yeah, my first semester, it's been good. I'm enjoying the course. I'm glad I'm on the course as well. I'm really glad I didn't take a gap year out, because even now, I don't think I would want to do graduate medicine afterwards. So I'm not necessarily sure what I want to do with my pharmacy degree, but I just know that it will open a lot of doors for me.
Hi everyone, my name's Deborah Odeshola. I'm a first year pharmacy student at Medway School of Pharmacy. So my journey into getting there, it was a bit difficult, similar to Lyle's. So unlike Lyle, I didn't want to study medicine, but I wanted to study pharmacy first. But when it came to A-level results day, the results that I was predicted and the results I got were a bit different. So I applied to University of Manchester, but my results didn't meet the criteria for University of Manchester, so I wasn't able to get into University of Manchester, and so I had other options, thank God, and so I got into Medway School of Pharmacy. I was a bit disappointed with that initially, but I'm happy with the journey that I'm taking, and I'm happy with the fact that even though I didn't get into University of Manchester, I'm still able to go and pursue a pharmacy degree. And I'm able to now understand the fact that even though I didn't get there, there's like a reason, and there's like a reason behind me not going into Manchester, and that's like God's plan. So I'm just thankful because so far in the first semester of pharmacy, it's been challenging, but it's been a great opportunity. I've learned many skills on like academia and like how to revise more properly and to alternate my revision plans, and also how to communicate more properly to like professors, to lecturers, and to people on my course. And so it's given me more confidence in able to talk to people. And so I'm learning, and I'm looking forward to many more opportunities. So, yeah.
That is wonderful. Thank you very much, Deborah. I think your communication skills will always be one that I'm blown away by. But also, have you taken on any other extracurricular, I should ask like the same thing, opportunities? Because all well and good to study pharmacy, but the extracurriculars are really important as well. So have you joined any, what do you call them? Societies?
Yes, so I've joined the Pharmaceutical Society, and I've also joined the ACS Society.
It was the Afro-Caribbean
Society, yeah.
Great.
So those are the two societies I've joined, and I hope for like in the future, maybe in second year, third year, or fourth year, that I go into more of a managerial role. But right now, I'm just taking a step back, finding my feet, evaluating my scenarios, and just seeing the different aspects and seeing what do I think is like missing within those societies, particularly Pharmaceutical Society, and how I can go there and help.
I can position yourself.
Yeah.
Layo, have you joined any societies so far?
Yeah, so I also joined the ACS, and I joined the gospel choir, and I also joined, it's called Pensa, it's a student fellowship.
The fellowship.
Yeah,
Nice.
so those are the societies I've joined, and they take up
A lot of time.
kind of, it just feels like they do.
Yes, yes. I mean, time is so precious. You know, if there's anything I could, use your time so wisely. Anything that is not aligning with you, and I think that's something significant Tapiwa said. Anything that does not align with your life goals, just let it go. Anything that's taking hours and hours, whether it's a fellowship or anything, whatever you're doing you have to be really clear that it aligns with your goals. But I think the ACS is important, the Afro-Caribbean Society, because obviously Black African students have that little bit more challenge, you know. And as I always say, even with the exams yesterday with the doctors, the Black doctors fail more than the white doctors, and we don't know why. They're not less clever. So there's just something about culture and about just society that we have to learn a bit more, be better. Thank you for sharing, Deborah. Thank you.
I don't have like too much to say, but like I'm in year 13 now, and like I guess now is around the time where you sort of start getting news back from universities, and I think that it's been a really interesting time in my life, because I guess now it's where I start deciding where I want to go, and like how that might impact like who I want to be and like where I want to be in like the next few years. So it's an exciting, like stressful time of life, and yeah, I think that's.
You want to share about your visit? You went to Warwick in the summer. I thought that was interesting. Just tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so that's definitely been like one of the highlights of my time at Beyond Wealth. So Wendy was like so kind to organise sort of a tour of Warwick, and like my dad and my brother, we all went there, and like we walked around the campus, we saw like all the buildings, and she also organised a meeting with like a academic there who's also a Black woman. She's in economics as well, so that was like really like inspirational. It was really nice to sort of meet her there as well.
That's really nice. That's actually, is that going to skew your choice? I think that's when this goal to get everybody to work. Is that going to skew?
Definitely, yeah. She was so kind. She told me about like all the opportunities that students at Warwick have, and all the facilities there as well. So before going to actually visit Warwick, I wasn't like too like keen, but after visiting, it's like my perception has definitely done like a whole 180.
Right. So it's really good, isn't it? And you didn't meet our darling Professor Lisk?
No, I didn't, but Wendy talks about him a lot.
Oh yeah, he's amazing. He's amazing. How old is Professor Lisk now? 77 or 78? And he's still an active professor, traveling around the world. You know, so he's in economics. So it's definitely someone that you should seek actively to meet. Okay, so yeah, you're preparing for A-levels as well, so that's another challenge, isn't it? So how's that going?
I mean, in my school we've covered majority of the content for all my subjects, so it's just a matter of like making sure I keep on top of everything. I enjoy like all my subjects, I think that, yeah.
So all going well.
I hope so, yeah.
Fingers crossed for you. Okay. Any tips on A levels for Wami at all?
For me personally, it's very much a thing of like, back to what we were saying about how like, you know, choosing what is for you, what isn't for you. Don't be afraid to just say no to your friends going out. Like, as much as, you know, you want to have fun, you want to relax at points, not everyone studies like you and not everyone thinks like you. So if you need that moment to say, you know what, I have a schedule here, like I work between these and these hours, and someone says, oh, you know, like, let's do this. If you know for sure that like, even if you were to catch up that time later in the evening, but that's not your most productive hour, don't go. Go when, you know, you're not going to be as productive anyway, and make sure that you prioritize like your health, you know, sleeping, eating, everything before thinking about anything else.
That's a really good tip. It's like somebody inviting me out in the morning. Morning is my most productive time.
Yeah.
Between 4:30 and, I mean, I can't do anything in the morning. I don't want a phone call. I don't want anybody to check on me. Well, at night time, at 8 o'clock, I'll come and waste everybody's time because I know I'm never going to read anything. So and people do that quite a bit. So you do what works for you. So when's your best time to study?
Definitely the mornings.
Another morning, another early bird like me. So you protect that with all your time. You know, you turn off your phone, tell everybody at home to leave you alone. No chores, no nothing. It's just you studying at that time. So good luck. We're all rooting for you.
Yeah.
We're all rooting for you. Okay.
Okay, so let me give a little bit of a background. So this topic is on actually articulation and apathy. Apathy in regards to political apathy, and articulation in regards to speaking clearly and with purpose. But to kind of like begin, I would say, like, as I've mentioned before, originally I was quite an introverted person. Not that I didn't have anything to say, but it was more so a thing of like not feeling confident enough to be in a lot of spaces. But as a result of relying on my why, which is actually the name of the conference that I'm going to talk about in a bit, and generally being quite grounded has led me to a lot of opportunities. So in the beginning of this year, I became the ACS careers officer. I also had the opportunity to go to Norway, and it was all paid for. I did a public speaking engagement in Norway for the European Baptist Association. I run a business called Tap Stock Shop. I am a Wiser ambassador, which means I get to refer people into careers, which means I can actively use my ability to communicate well to ensure other people can get jobs at places like Fidelity, KPMG, Softcat, Frasers, L'Oreal, and more. And sort of as a result of these experiences put together, I came up with the concept of relying on the why as our ACS Careers Conference happening in the end of January. So when it comes to articulation and apathy, I very much came to the understanding that like a lot of the time that people don't vote, especially young people, is from a place of not feeling that the person that is, you know, going up for the running for MP or whatever is a person that they perceive to be as competent in terms of their speaking. So it's not just how they speak, it's also what they say. So for me, something that's very big when I come to sort of deciding whether to vote, whether to not vote, whether to ruin my vote even, is by defining, debating, and determining whether that person is a competent enough leader from the way that they talk, from the discussions that they have. Because it's very easy to throw around terms like fiscal policy and not know what it means. So knowing how to speak also is a quite good thing behind that as well, because you can very much define anything, but if you don't sound like your pitch is right, your tone is right, so is it professional or is it just colloquial, and the speed that you say things. So for example, recently there was a video of Rishi Sunak who was briefed by his media team to do a transition, quote unquote. Now obviously he's marketing it to a professional audience, but he's using conventions of a more colloquial standard, so mostly for TikTok and that sort of multimedia. But that wasn't appropriate, because the people that you're trying to target the most are voters, and a lot of the voters that do vote and that would vote for him and his party are of the region between 25 and 40. So it's very much a thing of like choosing what strengthens you in the way that you speak. It's very much choosing the right context of doing your speaking and the right sort of understanding behind who you're marketing, because obviously it's great and well to know that, like, you know, there's young voters out there, but are the young voters the people that you can speak well enough to and know how to do it in a way that is, yes, professional, but also kind of relevant to them? Because everyone loves to do the whole thing of like, marketing to the young people because there's a lot of them, but if you can't market it well, they won't vote. And yes, there is a very powerful thing behind apathy, because you can spoil your vote to show that you don't believe in those people. And a lot of young people, they do spoil their vote or they don't vote at all. It's like, for example, even in my own house that I live with in second year, I live with 3 other people, and of those, 2 of them don't vote. They haven't registered to vote, and the other one spoils her vote because she doesn't think they can speak properly. So when it comes to apathy and articulation, it's very much a big thing to think about how you're speaking, how well you're speaking, how clearly, the speed, the environment. Is it a room where it's going to echo a lot? Is it a room where you're projecting enough? And knowing what to say and how to say it well.
Very nice. I just have an applause. That immediately just speaks to me. I'm going to post that. That's really good. So we're talking about apathy and also public speaking and what you say, the content of what you say, the environment, even what you're wearing, the speed, the articulation, and I just think, so you've said a lot about that, but I think what I didn't get is how then do we get around that? So Rishi Sunak talking about using conventional colloquial language for people who are professionals. How do you then change that apathy by changing your behavior, the way you speak and the way you behave?
So it's all about appropriateness of what you're talking about. So if you want to talk about things like education, you're marketing that more at young people than you are at their parents, for example. So if you're advocating something like T-levels, for example, and you're talking to young people and saying, like, this is a viable option to you, you need to say it and use the right platform for it. So if you're going to say it in a professional manner, but put it on Twitter, that is a lot more probable and it makes a lot more sense than going on Instagram and, posting like a TikTok style reel thing, because people won't take you seriously. It's very much about managing your tone and managing the context that you use your tone. So for example, like, you can have a public speaking class, you can be taught whatever and anything, but if you use it in the wrong context, all those skills, all the things you've learned is wrong. Like, it's useless at that point. So it's very much a thing of like slowing down, it's thinking, it's not kind of going immediately with whatever's being in your mind, and just taking a moment to pause and think, okay, like, is this relevant for the people that I'm with? Yes or no? What am I trying to get across to them? Does it have a beginning, middle, and end? Is it something that I'm just appropriately for? Because, for example, like, Rishi Sunak was in our uni about 4 months ago. That would have been the perfect opportunity, but he chose to do it at the wrong time. And he went to just view, like, I think it was like an engineering department. So it's like, if you want to gain more voters and you want to reduce the figures of political apathy, you've got to appear to be in the right places and in the right way, and market yourself well enough, and very much knowing your own worth and translating that in the right way, and almost translating the right elements of you to those people.
That's lovely. You're now going to manage my social media from now. Okay, that's really good. Anybody have questions? Because to be honest, if I was any of you, I'll be thinking, how can I tap into this? How can I use this to? So on your WhatsApp group, make sure you go out, get out to her and get her to help you with your public speaking and how you're a content creator.
Yeah.
Come and manage my content. I love Twitter, by the way. I'm really a Twitter person. That's really it. Okay, that's really useful. I mean, I have many questions, but because of time, I'm going to leave that. Probably have a one-on-one conversation. And by the way, she's invited me to come and speak.
Yeah.
In Warwick. Is that not amazing?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. Cleared my diary. Moved my trip. I took it very seriously, actually.
Thank you.
So right after that, then I'm out of the country again. So
I'm going to be talking about what I've learned through my experience at Beyond Wealth. So throughout the past year, what I've learned about Beyond Wealth is like the importance of networking, and so it's made me want to be more efficient on networking platforms such as LinkedIn. So I've been trying to update my LinkedIn profile in order to be able to gain access to people who are in further positions within the pharmaceutical world. So particularly I want to go into pharma tech, so I've been trying to reach out to people who are in the pharma tech industries, and so profile my LinkedIn page in order to gain access to them so that they can see me as a potential person that they can mentor. Another thing is that through Beyond Wealth is the fact that it's important to collaborate with people. So when I was doing my personal statement last year, initially my personal statement was not as detailed, but through the help of Beyond Wealth mentors, I was able to get my personal statement to be detailed and to be more concise. And so it reiterated the importance of collaboration. And so one way I've like applied that is that when I'm doing workshops, whenever I'm doing anything at university, I've been now being made sure that I communicate with people so that we can work together and get the best ideas, so that we can work with each other to the best of our ability and gain adequate information. Another thing I've learned is the importance of work experience. So work experience is the thing that allows us to get ample opportunity to know what we want to do and how we actually want to do it. And so it's made me more motivated to go online. So for example, I go on edx.com and look at courses like with Harvard University and with like Oxford University, and look at online courses which I can do, which can help further motivate me. So for example, I did like a course recently on the importance of managing patients who have drug mistreatment and how we can, as like healthcare professionals, can help them. And additionally, like data science, which can be applied to pharmacy. And one other thing I learned with Beyond Wealth was like the importance of the fact that it's really good to have non-verbal and verbal communication. And so when I'm talking to people, I now try to maintain eye contact with them, like I'm doing right now, and also to like try and speak eloquently so that people can hear what I'm saying and so that it can be in a concise tone. So that's what I've learned with Beyond Wealth.
Amazing. That's really excellent. So basically, networking was a collaboration, work experience, great communication using verbal and non-verbal cues. I mean, you've basically nailed it. I'm sure you know that you've nailed the communication style. It's really good. Networking, and I wanted to comment on the LinkedIn profile thing. When you're reaching out to people, I always say everybody has a problem. Every person has a problem. So most people are fatigued by people reaching out to them. And when you reach out to them, they're like, some people don't answer because you're not solving their problem. And the problem could be as small as a compliment, not something that is forced, you know. So I'll give you an example. I've been reading a lot about workforce issues. So I found a book on workforce, and it was called Human by Professor Mark Britnell. So I read that a few months ago, and I was like, this guy is really good. So I'm like, where is he? So I looked for him, and he was on LinkedIn. So I reached out to him and said, hey, I've just bought your book and I'm reading it. I think it's really interesting. I would like to be able to talk to you about it. When I finished it, he responded within 5 minutes. Because what has that done? It solved the problem for him. It's not a massive problem, but you know, there's that need for validation, even though you have, he's very influential. But someone's taking the time to buy his book, to read his book, to give him feedback, and to want to communicate. So yes, LinkedIn is good, networking is good, but remember that whoever you're reaching out to probably has a very full plate, probably stressed, exhausted, tired, doesn't want to talk to you about your issues, doesn't really care that deeply. But when you can find common ground, you know, it's always very nice. Like when Gospel reaches out to me, he'll ask me, how are you doing? How are you really doing? I can imagine him saying it. So he's actually concerned about me. He's asking me, how are you? So it's that's the art of networking, being able to find something to give. I always say to everyone, like, think about giving. Giving can be very small, but giving, a smile, a compliment, something on help. So thank you, well done.
So most of what I was going to talk about, I actually mentioned before,
Yes.
with the whole admissions process for me. But I'd say I also want to talk about like not letting opportunities pass you by because of like my own feelings or like being scared or not feeling very confident. Like for example, so 10,000 Black Interns, that program, I wasn't going to apply for it in first year because I was just like, I didn't really want to, and I was like, it's first year, I just want a free summer. But then I was like, but then I spoke to my mum and and my sister as well, and they were just like, just do it anyways. And then I was just like, okay, I might as well do it because if I get an internship, then it's just something for me to explore, like a potential career path. So then I applied, and I have like next stage applications to fill out, but it's a good thing I applied in the first place because now that's an opportunity, and if I get an internship, then that will be something that could have passed me by that I can now benefit from to help me with my future. And I say also like seeing ways to like improve in everything I do, like for example with the whole admissions process as well. Looking back at the interviews, I can see ways in which I could have improved and done better. And yeah, like through like my interview preparation with you at the end of each meeting, you would make me say something I'd done well and some things I'd done wrong as well. So really reflecting on that and seeing ways I can change, I can go back and reflect and then help that to improve myself as well. And just like to go back to my first point as well, during my first semester they put us into placement already. So I did community placement in a community pharmacy, and during that week I'm not gonna lie, in the beginning I was content to just do what they told me to do, but then it was clear that they didn't have much for us to do. Like they would just have us like getting rid of expired medication or just sitting down doing something. So after a while I was like, okay, it's time to be proactive and actually do something so that I can get something out of this experience as well. Otherwise it's like a whole wasted week in a way. So yeah, most of what I wanted to say I said before the whole admissions, but yeah.
You said a lot just now. Does anybody want to reflect? I want to go back to my teaching. Well, you've said so much in those 3 things, those 3 points. Should I reflect back, or somebody else wants to reflect back what she said? Okay, I'm going to reflect back. And you said the first thing, not letting opportunities pass you by because of yourself. I say to people, and including myself, get out of your own way. Like, see me, get out of your own way. Because sometimes it's your own confidence, it's your own self, in front of you. So taking opportunities, even if you don't feel worthy, and it's very common. And I don't know whether it's genetic or gender or whatever, but you feel, maybe I shouldn't do that now. Maybe give myself some time. But that might just be that opportunity. And if it's the right one that aligns with your why, take it. And even if you're not worthy, just take it anyway, because you are worthy. So learning to take opportunities, reflecting is fantastic, but I don't think you did anything at your interviews. I used to just drive myself crazy before. When I do an interview and it doesn't go well, maybe I don't get the job or something, I'll be like, what did I do wrong? Oh my God. Really, it might not be that you did anything wrong, but I would actively go and seek feedback, and then you get some feedback from people, and half the time it wasn't like you did anything wrong, it was just not the time, and somebody else just got it. It's okay. So reflect, but don't over reflect. Don't flog yourself is what I mean. Reflection should be an exercise, and it should be done, and you move on from it. You don't then go back over and over. Proactivity, being proactive. So somebody else might think, oh yeah, I've got a free week this community pharmacy. I'll just go down and go and have a drink at Costa, since they have nothing for me to do here. You would never leave a good impression that way. People that leave good impressions are people that seek to solve problems, that seek to do something extra over and beyond what they've been asked to do. And we always notice them. People that have not been given any brief, but they tell you, oh, I noticed this, can I do this for you? Can I, your pharmacy, can I just organize? So that is, being proactive is so useful. And for me, I can't work with someone who's not proactive, because I can't give you the script on everything. I'll just give you a general idea, and then I expect that you work with it. So that is a way to stand out, and I think you've said a lot of that as well. You haven't used the word proactive, but that's what you've done. Being proactive, setting up a business, meal prep, making money, that's being proactive. So you've said a lot, so thank you.
So I'm mainly going to talk about again, my journey with Beyond Wealth and the sort of things that I've learned. So my journey began in January after I like saw it on LinkedIn, and I reached out to God's Winter Pure to like sort of ask about the program, what they thought about it. And I think that was like my first lesson, how like literally reaching out to people on LinkedIn can really be like such a fruitful thing. And then I had the interview, and that was also really, I guess, impactful for me in the sense that it really made me think about my why, like why do I want to sort of study economics, why do I want to go to university and all of this. And I hadn't really like very deeply considered those things before, and I think that when you sort of think about why you want to do stuff, it really does like motivate you, and whenever you're feeling sort of down about things, you can look back to that and like what your motivation was, and it can help you sort of keep on going. And then through the program, I've also learned the importance of sort of, as other people have said, networking and like having connections. Being mentored by you has meant that like I've been introduced to people that I wouldn't have known otherwise, and I've learned so many things from them, such as like what being an economist or like an academic looks like in reality, as well as like sort of where I could potentially go in the future has been quite very inspirational for me. And I think that the other thing I've learned, and like the main thing I've learned, is the importance of mentorship. And I don't know if I said it before, but your mentorship has really been like helpful for me and really amazing for me. And your support and like kind words when I was going through setbacks in my journey has really stuck with me and really been impactful.
Make me cry. I cry very easily. Thank you very much. That's fantastic. That's really important. You know, is people. Everything you need is in people. There's nowhere else. No matter how qualified you are, as I always say to people, you might be the best at something. People don't know you. They don't know about what you do. They're not going to give you the opportunity. And how are they going to get to know you? By you opening your mouth and telling them that this is what I can do. So it's amazing. And I spoke to, what's his name, the economist in, I don't know what university he's in, the professor.
Yeah,
Cardiff, yeah. So that was really good. So thank you for the kind words. Actually, she solved the problem for me right there. Yeah. So as what I'm saying about giving, always wanting to give in your talking. So thank you. Okay. Table topics. I know you're gonna smash it, so we're not going to put you under pressure.
So, actually, as soon as you told me about the whole thing about table topics, I actually thought about two things.
Yeah.
Networking and being proactive. Like,
Yep.
So it's actually a coincidence. Everyone actually spoke about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, Dr. Alibi was the first person that actually let me know about LinkedIn. I never knew what it was before. So as soon as Dr. Alibi told me about LinkedIn, I took it up straight away, downloaded it, set up my platform, and put all my grades and everything. So then I started to utilize LinkedIn. What is it meant for? And I remember through LinkedIn, I reached out to some doctors, some clinicians, and some of them got back, some of them didn't. But one thing I realized is you need to have a very good pitch. You need to show to them that this is who I am. You need to be transparent, you need to be authentic, and also you need to problem solve. So you need to be a problem solver, sorry. You need to be a problem solver. So for example, I reached out to a medical doctor who actually wanted to start a medical organization to actually enhance medical practice through medical research. Actually, clinical practice through medical research. So I said to him, I'll be able to help you. And interestingly enough, he said, wow, I actually needed that because I need to raise X amount of money to actually start it, because there were some issues with the website and some glitches, and you had to pay X amount of money. So I said, no problem. So I actually went out of my way to search for different grant funding schemes, and I actually learnt that skill. So I now learnt the skill of actually applying for applications, knowing what they want to see, and luckily I've actually gotten some.
Really?
So
Amazing.
I was able to secure funding of £45,000.
No way. Really?
Yeah, for his organization that he's trying to start. So through that, I was actually able to provide a solution to a problem that he had, and because of that, we were able to build a mutual relationship through the initial pitch that I gave him that showed that I was actually worthy of replying to. So I think that's
fantastic.
it.
Well
Yeah,
done.
Thank you very much.
Well done. We should need to raise funds for Beyond
Yeah,
Wealth
no,
at this
100%.
point. We need some grant
100%,
applications.
100%.
Okay, that's wonderful. Any questions for God's Will? Should we just finish it there? I appreciate what everybody has said. I think you guys are phenomenal. I can't wait to see what's going to happen in a year, 2 years, 5 years, and where you're going to be. Make sure you invite me to all your nice things that you're going to be doing in your life, so I can come there as a proud mommy.
100%.
Now, I think what I might do is move things around a little bit and go into some sort of problem-solving, teamwork situation, something that we can work on together. And I want to do this because I want to see how everybody works. Don't worry, it's not a test. I just want to see how everybody works. How flexible is your mind? You know, can you think outside the box, or are you going to be like, this is my value, this is how it must be, and it can never change? So what I'm going to ask you also to work on for a few minutes, it's going to be nothing in your, something in your field, but nothing, it's going to always be something around healthcare, healthcare issues. And I want us to try and solve a problem together in the next sort of 10 minutes. And the problem is going to be about healthcare in Nigeria, because again, I'm Nigerian, but the problem is, it's something that you will have known before, you know. So one of the things we're working on at the moment is on access to healthcare. If you know me, have spoken to me, I would have asked you this question. I mean, about access to health. I would have asked even you. I've asked everyone about how do you solve a massive issue. And as you know, there's a huge commitment to healthcare at the moment. What's the biggest topical issue going on at the moment, right now? I mean, if you guys don't know this, that's going to be a problem. What is the biggest global event that has just happened?
Coronavirus.
Huh?
Coronavirus.
I didn't hear you.
Coronavirus.
No, that's old already. That just okay. What was it? The most current conference that's just concluded today.
The
COP 28.
Yeah.
COP 28. Does anybody know about COP 28? Not really. Okay, so what I want you guys to do is always be aware of current life, whatever is going on globally. So COP 28 is just concluded, and one of the biggest things was around healthcare. And one of the biggest issues is around things like primary healthcare and sanitation and water. That's one of the big issues. So in Nigeria, obviously, we're trying to solve that problem and trying to create access to everyone to have great access to primary healthcare services, which is not great. Okay, so now I want you guys to try and solve this issue. Now we want to provide primary healthcare in Nigeria. How are we going to do this?
What do you mean by primary healthcare?
Can I just say healthcare? Primary healthcare is the initial GP, you know, being able to take that first contact, but just say healthcare. And I'm saying primary healthcare because that's the one that you access directly. Okay, so let's do that for 10 minutes, and then you can give me a presentation about how you've solved it. Do you want any ideas as to what along the lines of what I'm expecting you to, but you wouldn't know what I'm expecting you to think about. You have an idea what I'm thinking. Okay, so I want you to provide primary health care to Nigeria. Or you can say to Agege, wherever, just a small population. What are the indicators we're looking at? How are we going to deliver it? How are we going to make sure that everybody gets equal access? How are we going to finance it? It's not a trick question. It's literally just thinking, how do you think? All right, Shay, you're going to join this discussion, and then I will go away for a minute. I'm going to give you guys 10 minutes to solve it, and then you nominate somebody to tell me there's no primary healthcare access in this country, and this is how we're going to solve it. Just blue sky thinking. Imagine that you have access to everything. Good. 10 minutes, starting now. Shay.
I mean, the one thing my brain jumps to is like the politics side of things. Obviously, I'm not a healthcare thing, but obviously, you have like a very big issue of like if you give money to a government, they're not necessarily going to do the right thing, especially if we're talking about Africa. So I guess kind of like looking at it more locally and localized funding and how that goes outwards. I mean, like I know in my country, like we have like a dronal schemes in some like areas, so they have drones to give medicine and stuff like that, and also to see people on that front, primary sort of healthcare level. But obviously funding that and the actual mechanisms of getting doctors is the other issue.
I think another one is marketing. How we're going to market the services out to the wider population. So the big thing is social media. But not everybody may have social media. So how else can we market the fact that there's going to be new primary care services to the people. What's your opinion?
I like what the people said about funding, making it localized. I think that a big problem, especially in many African countries, is that even on a localized level, we still have corruption when it comes to distributing funds. And so we probably have to find a way in which to regulate the way in which funds are spread. So we have like a supervising body which has been trained in anti-corruption, something like that. Because I think I read something literally just 30 minutes ago about how like 46 billion naira is being put into, or was it dollars? I don't actually remember, was being put into just trips for the vice president and the president. And that money could be put into so many other things that could actually benefit the people. But even on local levels, like if you go to like villages or areas which are kind of distributed within the local level, it's still not as efficient. So I think maybe like regulating corruption could be a good way to correct it.
Now that you said regulating corruption, I think that's a place where, I mean, obviously people have different views on it, but NGOs, some do it quite well. So that's where you can bring in things like the Red Cross and stuff like that to kind of like regulate. Because obviously if there's someone that's on your back constantly, then there's no real way of money kind of going under the books. And if you're having regular checks of like, okay, like say monthly auditing, someone external is seeing like, okay, what's coming in, what's coming out. And they're kind of like that figurehead to do the regulation on a local level. Because I think local is much easier to kind of manage the corruption as opposed to whole government. But the question is, where does the money come from in the first place?
Yeah. But I think we could definitely, if we had access to everything and like assuming that we're able to, direct funds anywhere we want to, we could take that money that's being put into things that aren't necessary and using those funds without even, increasing taxation or anything. We can literally use those funds for better causes, I think.
Do you think we'd be looking at like building new hospitals, or would it be like more like clinics, or?
Could you speak a little louder sometimes? Yeah, especially
Okay.
So it's great on the recording.
Yeah.
Okay. I said, do you think that we would be looking at building hospitals or like more like medical clinics, or more just training people in like basic like medical sort of practices?
I think like one thing would be basic like first aid care. So like to make sure that in like villages, in like local schools, in local places of authority, that they like bring like free lessons in which we learn like first aid care, because these could be like critical in a state where there's medical emergency. And like in addition with like building hospitals, I feel like because Nigeria is like a place where you have to pay for the healthcare, so if you don't have the money, if you don't have the funds for the healthcare, you're not going to be able to gain access to the greatest healthcare. So I think one thing that has to be implemented is the fact that it has to be like free healthcare. And so that would be in regards to like the funding. So the fact that they'll have to make sure the funding is put into a place like non-government NGOs to like be overseeing the healthcare division, so that each person can gain access to free healthcare similar to like the NHS system in the UK. But that's something that will have to be long term, so that every person can gain access to healthcare. And so I feel like short term there would have to be more hospitals being built which are of good quality, meaning that some of the funds have to go into universities so that people that are learning, the future doctors, the future healthcare professionals, such as like pharmacists, such as like ambulance workers, are able to know how to provide the best care possible in order to treat conditions, so that it's not just when people from foreign countries just come and then we are able to gain access to the best healthcare, but so that every person can get access to the best healthcare wherever they are in the like, countries.
I mean, I think one important thing is that we want people to actually use the resources that are provided, and it's all good and well, creating hospitals and making sure that funding goes to the right place. But I also think there's like some negative social norms as well, especially in Nigeria. People don't really like to use healthcare, and I think it stems from other problems. But like currently, like especially with a lot of men as well, going to use healthcare services is like, you know, it's not really what we do. You know, we just deal with it ourselves. And I could be wrong for like subgroups, but I think overall one thing that could be done is education. If we want people to use the services, we have to make sure that they know that, you know, it's okay to go and, you know, use primary healthcare. And also, you know, these are symptoms that, you know, it's suitable for you to go and see someone. So that could be something that accompanies, you know, building hospitals and, you know, building clinics.
I think even going back on that social element is obviously like there is a lot of like traditional understandings in terms of like hierarchical structures within families and regions. So something that's probably a great area to start that education with is within sort of like villages, speaking initially to chiefs, elders, that type of thing. Because much like every place in Africa, Nigeria is based on that sort of system as well. And I think when you get it across with the chiefs, the elders, all those type of people, it's easier to kind of go from a top-down approach, because then it's very easily spread within. Because if you think about how many times people meet together for weddings or people being inaugurated, those are so many times where so many people meet together, and those are great places to kind of give a lot of information at once. And especially if you kind of win one person over, you win over thousands.
Another point she said was about like ensuring there's equal access, which I think you kind of talked about. Yeah, so, yeah.
Like you were saying, like about the fact that in order for people to actually come and get primary healthcare, we have to debunk the myths. How would you say that, like you were saying, like we go to the chiefs and we go to the places like within villages, so like the chiefs, so the kings and stuff, in order to educate. How do you think we can gain like access in like a more governmental sense, in like a national scale? Like I mean, like talking like from the president or something, or from like the governor of a state. How do you think can we communicate to people within that state about like, oh, you should go access to primary healthcare? Because I feel like within Nigeria, well, because like my dad, he talks about politics a lot. So he talks about the fact that there's a lot of distrust within the government, people in Nigeria towards the government, because of like what you were saying about like 417 million naira just being wasted to go visit the vice president and the president. How do you think we can get the governors and the people in charge in the government to tell us about healthcare, so that we can get, so that people in Nigeria can get trust?
I think Tapiwa said it perfectly. Like on a local level, it's probably more important because of that mistrust that a lot of Nigerians and a lot of Africans in general actually have for the government. But I think building the trust that citizens have with the government is important. So while it probably won't happen on a short-term basis, we can start feeding that same information to the government and maybe creating hubs where they're able to speak about important issues which we don't usually expect them to speak about because they haven't spoken about it. But I think it probably would be more effective to work on the local level, because I think people are going to want to act on things that are spoken to them by people who they actually trust. And unfortunately in Nigeria we don't really have that level of trust. To be honest, we don't have that level of trust in many places. Even in the UK, people don't really trust the government. So it's not like a criticism just to Nigeria, but I think overall that's the most effective.
Thank you very much. So, have you solved the issue? Have you solved the problem?
We've kind of spoken about
Okay, so have we nominated someone to share?
Yeah, I mean, I made notes, so might as well.
Did everybody get involved in the discussion? Yeah. So you guys have a framework.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's hear your framework. You can sit down for a minute. Let me hear the framework.
So we looked at it as social, political, and economic sense. So we're talking about, okay, like we can take this idea and we can put it into local government as opposed to the greater government, because obviously there's that distrust there. So socially, people are going to be more inclined to listen to the local government.
but obviously still in local, we have issues of corruption. So a way to kind of like work around that would be looking at sort of like international NGOs coming in and regulating and auditing their finances on a monthly basis, and that kind of like streamlines that approach. And obviously like there you'd have the money to fund hospitals and drones and things like that, and purely by just rerouting the money and potentially increase taxation if needed. But it's all well and great to have the money and to build all these things, but you actually also need to have that trust between the people and the service providers to know that like, oh, it's okay to go into hospital, or you can go into hospital for this, that and the other. So in the short term, looking at kind of like going to areas and villages and speaking to chiefs, elders, etc., to build that trust within them, because it's easier to bring that one person in, and then you've got thousands of people that also believe and understand like, okay, hospitals are a good and great thing. And just generally ensuring that like the people are like the main focus of it, and it's very much a client-centered approach. So you work and build what people need. So obviously in villages, we're looking at sort of like first aid care, so putting things in like hospitals, schools, because in villages what you're going to need the most is what you're going to want to access the quickest. And then also like looking at a longevity perspective, obviously you want to have hospitals that are concrete and sound. So putting funding into universities, people studying things like architecture, building stuff like that, and also the doctors themselves to mean that like, there's always going to be a pipeline of people coming in and out for these hospitals. And just generally like integration at many events when you're talking about hospitals and things like that. And yeah, I think that's right.
So breaking it down to local government level rather than, which is already what obtains now. So bringing the funding direct to local government. At the moment, the funding comes from federal, state to local government, and then educating a lot. Telling people about the service, inviting them to come in and build trust. Trust for medicine, is that what you mean? Was it? And then you said something else about then workforce. So making sure that the workforce is ongoing, and then bringing international bodies in to audit the standards. Is it the funding you're auditing, or just everything, or the standards as well?
Standards in terms of quality, but also
quality
finances.
Fine, you solved the issue. All sorted. No, I think that's fantastic. And funniest thing is that's something that I'm working on topically at the moment. That's why I gave you that question, and I wanted you to just see how you think about it and how you're going to shape it. And you've talked about the biggest issue. The biggest issue is workforce. So maybe another time, maybe next time, we'll talk about how we solve the problem of workforce, because workforce is the biggest issue. Don't have any doctors, so
a lot of them are leaving.
They're leaving. Everybody's leaving. There's just nobody there, so that's really useful. So I want to just say, look, the money we're presenting to you is not a lot, but it's a tradition that we've started with you to always give you a token when you finish your university to do whatever you want with, really. It's not a lot, but you can do whatever you want with. I have my ideas on what you should do with it. I'm sure Shay can tell you what I would say you should do with it, because I always say if you have something, you have to make it grow. Make it grow. So put in something, either a business or in an investment account. Like, does anybody know of any investment accounts?
I mean, part of mine went into a Monzo.
Monzo.
And then the other part of my business.
There you go. So can you see that? She's grown her money. Can you imagine that? So investment accounts, I have a Hargreaves and Lansdowne account. These are just easy investment things you can start with. If you don't want to start a business just quite yet, but make it grow, even if it's tiny. So we're presenting you with this check for £500.
Thank you so much.
You are so very welcome. For being just so conscientious, for working so hard, for being dedicated to the process, for being patient, and just being a good person. So on behalf of Beyond Wealth and Aziz Butali Foundation and Dr. Simi, we're presenting you with £500. Okay, you've got pictures? Well, thank you so much for engaging with the process, for being lovely, for working hard, for being resilient, and for growing. You have a growth mindset. So on behalf of Beyond Wealth and the Aziz Butali Foundation and Dr. Simi, we present you with £500. Thank you. I don't know how you're gonna carry that too. They'll be like, "What's that on the train?" You have to explain to everybody, or you hide it. You turn it this way. How did you carry yours on the train?
Oh, it was a journey. I think because obviously we were at the Africa Centre at the
Yes.
time. So I went through a park, I went through the trains. I was just like holding it. People looking at you like, "Are you good?" I was like, "Yeah."
Oh, it's massive. Oh my word, that's amazing.